Hey, good evening to you, RWL wrestling fans. My name's Don Hickson, and welcome to RWL Championship Wrestling season premiere, the final show of the month of September, and I'm here with Hangman Tex Lynch from RWL Snarl. We've got a terrific hour of matches lined up, including the undisputed World Tag Team Champions, the Originals, defending the titles against Zeus and the Great Khali.
Oh man, good evening folks. Dandy Don. I don't have to tell you how excited Eric Bischoff is to have Zeus and Khali in a title match.
But there's a whole lot more action ahead. We start tonight with the Masked Superstar locking up against Brenton Quinn Stewart.
And let me tell you, the fans here in Steeltown, USA, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and you folks at home are in for a treat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RWL Championship Wrestling, our opening match tonight. One fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, accompanied by the Grand Wizard of Wrestling from parts unknown, weighing 312 pounds. Here is the Masked Superstar.
Just one of the many walking weapons in the Grand Wizard of Wrestling's arsenal, the Masked Superstar. Of course, a legend going back many, many years. And tonight is going to be his first ever encounter with Brenton Quinn Stewart of Northridge, California, of the MJ Ferrantino group. And that is going to be an interesting matchup for certain.
Couple of big hosses, all power moves, Dandy Don. That is definitely going to be a wild matchup for sure. But Brenton Quinn Stewart, more than likely, is definitely up to the task. We're talking about a guy who beat Kerry Von Erich in his very first matchup here in RWL.
I recently had the chance to see that match from the Cow Palace Cup Supercard in 2016, and Brenton Quinn Stewart certainly performed admirably.
He was spinning the hamster wheel for about 10 years, but once he got together with MJ Ferrantino, things have changed for BQ Stewart.
His opponent, accompanied by Sister Golden Hair from Northridge, California, weighing in at 285 pounds. Here is Brenton Quinn Stewart.
As you point out, Tex, almost a decade of misdirected energy for Brenton Quinn Stewart, but once he signed with the MJ Ferrantino group, something changed for BQ Stewart, and he is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the coming year.
There's few things more exciting, Don, than a first-time encounter, and this is the first time between the Masked Superstar and Brenton Quinn Stewart.
Most definitely, here we go. Walt Rothburn sounds the bell. Here we go. They lock it up. Stewart shoves the Masked Superstar back into the corner. Gets a hold of him. A spinning neckbreaker to the Masked Superstar. Superstar counters with a clothesline, taking Stewart down to the mat. Swing and a miss with the kick. Superstar counters, goes behind. Turns Stewart around. Hard whip into the far right corner, followed up with a stomp. Quickly back up on his feet as Brenton Quinn Stewart lines up the arm on the Masked Superstar. Masked Superstar quickly counter it. An impressive counter, but Brenton Quinn Stewart equally quick into a headlock on the Masked Superstar, followed up with a very high hip toss, as Gordon Soley might say. Here's a shot to the midsection from the Masked Superstar, a kick to the gut, a headbutt backing Stewart up, but an arm drag from Stewart, who's still standing. A quick jab, a double chop to the throat, a clubbing overhand right from the Masked Superstar. Superstar has him up, slams him down. The Masked Superstar follows up with a stomp, but a quick takedown by Brenton Quinn Stewart, and a blatant choke right in front of the official. Brenton Quinn Stewart unapologetic in his actions, and Brenton Quinn Stewart now going to work on a downed Masked Superstar. Stewart is squirting the limp form of the Masked Superstar center ring, a fist drop right to the head. The Masked Superstar counters, gets back up on his feet, gets a hold of Stewart, whips him to the far left corner. There's a clothesline to the back, taking him down. Here's a quick cover one, but only a one. Brenton Quinn Stewart, very much still active, slides himself back inside the ring, an elbow to the face of the Masked Superstar. Taken to the corner, smashed into the buckle. Superstar counters, puts Stewart into the corner, spins him back out. The Masked Superstar up on the middle rope, indicating the fist drop, and he nailed it. Brenton Quinn Stewart laid out center ring. The Masked Superstar doing a little bit of showboating for the fans. Not that they love him or anything. A clothesline from the Masked Superstar, followed up with a second, a rebound off the ropes, and a beautiful flying kick. Must give credit where it's due. The Masked Superstar catches a fireman's carry from Brenton Quinn Stewart. Whoa, a low shot, an inverted atomic drop right where it counts. Stewart up on the middle rope, awaiting the Masked Superstar to stand himself up. Here we go. Oh, misses with the elbow. Gets a hold of the Superstar, whips him to the corner, quickly evaded by the Masked Superstar. A jab. A couple of shots from Brenton Quinn Stewart to the Superstar. A kick to the midsection. Stewart yanks him down by his mask. He almost pulled that thing off his head. The Masked Superstar catches a hard right hand from Brenton Quinn Stewart. An unmitigated powerhouse, this man. And into a leg lock on the Masked Superstar, much to the delight of Sister Goldenhair, standing at ringside. Superstar, with a couple of shots, escapes the hold, gets a hold of Stewart, whips him to the ropes. Stewart quickly, the Masked Superstar seems to be unable to mount any sort of a lasting rally here. Vertical suplex from Brenton Quinn Stewart. Stewart takes himself up to the middle rope, and he's awaiting the Masked Superstar again. Here we go. He nailed it that time. Elbow right to the top of the dome. And the Masked Superstar is laid out center ring. Brenton Quinn Stewart now stalking the Masked Superstar. Whoa, look at this mandible claw. And oh, the Masked Superstar is flailing. My goodness, here we go. The referee calling for the bell. That is it. Brenton Quinn Stewart winning this matchup, apparently by knockout.
The time of the fall, 5 minutes and 25 seconds. Your winner by pinfall, Brenton Quinn Stewart.
Damn, it takes some kind of something special to put out the Masked Superstar's lights, and I guess Brenton Quinn Stewart certainly had that. A big-time win in his first ever encounter with the Masked Superstar, and Sister Goldenhair smiling in approval at her fella Brenton Quinn Stewart with a terrific win tonight.
Yes, indeedy, Tex. What a matchup to start things off in tonight's RWL Championship Wrestling card. And wow, what a performance. Brenton Quinn Stewart constantly wrong-footing the Masked Superstar time and time again. Every time he tried to get a rally going, Stewart would counter him, and he just kept the advantage and the momentum going his way.
Yeah, he sure did. There's that mandible claw, and he put the Masked Superstar's lights out for sure with that one. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back with a whole lot more RWL Championship Wrestling when we come back from the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
RWL Championship Wrestling continues now with Legends Division competition, with Tojo Yamamoto locking it up with the Samoan Bulldozer Umaga.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next match set for 1-4 with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, accompanied by the Iron Sheik from Kyoto, Japan, weighing 254 pounds, Tojo Yamamoto.
Tojo Yamamoto along with the Iron Sheik. We don't get to see Tojo compete in too many singles matches, and what an opponent he's got tonight in the Samoan Bulldozer Umaga, huh, Dandy Don?
Unquestionably, Tex, the Samoan Bulldozer Umaga will be appearing tonight without the guidance of Captain Lou Albano, and that's going to make him twice as dangerous. But Tojo Yamamoto, just as stubborn and just as relentless as Umaga is, and he's got those martial arts skills and that sadistic streak that might be just enough to carry him past Umaga in this matchup.
Damn near impossible to call a winner here, Dandy Don. We're just going to have to wait until the final bell to see what finally shakes out at the end.
And his opponent from the Isle of Samoa, weighing 350 pounds, he is the Samoan Bulldozer Umaga.
350 pounds of unfettered fury, the Samoan bulldozer Umaga will almost certainly face a legitimate challenge from Tojo Yamamoto in this matchup. As you point out, Tex, it's going to be very difficult to even gauge who might possibly end up the winner in this one. We're just going to have to wait until the final disposition to see what happens.
Now, while Umaga does outsize and outweigh Tojo by a pretty nice margin, again, Tojo Yamamoto is a relentless individual. He is harder to keep down than Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers.
Well, again, you have outclassed me, Tex, with your encyclopedic knowledge of horror movies. But Umaga is a walking, talking horror movie, and Tojo Yamamoto looking at a serious challenge in this Legends Division matchup. This one's going to pit Umaga's brutal savagery against Tojo Yamamoto's steadfast, smash-mouth style. Referee Walt Rothburn sounds the bell. They lock up collar and elbow. Quick takedown from Tojo. Tojo opening up with a series of shots, mounted punches to the Samoan bulldozer. Umaga rounded up, wrist clutch, knee to the head, and an immediate cover. Walt, but only barely just a one. Tojo, with a hard forearm, drops Umaga to the canvas. Tojo Yamamoto coming out extremely aggressive in the early goings in this matchup. He's had Umaga on the canvas for most of the time now. Umaga being stretched here. Tojo drives a couple of knees into the lower back of the Samoan bulldozer. Tojo off the middle rope, a beautiful flying punch. And Tojo Yamamoto relentlessly, with a series of kicks, takes Umaga back down, goes right back to work on both arms. And again, a pair of knees into the lower back of the Samoan bulldozer. Tojo opens up with a series of hard rights, followed up with a stomp to the midsection. Umaga definitely on the defensive here, as Tojo opens up with another series of relentless, withering shots. Takes him right back down to the canvas again and right back into those mounted punches. The Samoan bulldozer in serious trouble here. Another driving knee into the head of Umaga. Umaga finally counters with a kick, gets back up on his feet, starts beating the head of Tojo Yamamoto against the canvas. Umaga misses with the headbutt. Tojo rolling out of the way quickly. Tojo Yamamoto has him all the way up, but Umaga, with a little mumbo-jumbo here, goes behind. German suplex on Tojo. Umaga finally starting to open up here and going to work on Tojo Yamamoto, a stomp to the back of the head. The Samoan bulldozer nails the headbutt that time. Tojo in big trouble here, fails to connect with a second attempt as Tojo evades a knee to the midsection from Umaga. From behind, a hard shot to the back. Tojo whipped into the corner. A kick to the leg over the rope. Umaga has Tojo up, slams his back into the turnbuckle, and hurls him towards center. Now it's Tojo Yamamoto on the defensive, and he's already busted open. A shoulder claw from Umaga, followed up with another stop. Tojo quickly putting on the brakes and turning it into a dragon screw. The Samoan bulldozer back on the receiving end of the bad business here as Tojo Yamamoto goes right back to work on the arms of Umaga. Tojo, consistent as always, follows up again with another set of knees to the back. And Umaga must already be feeling it. Tojo with a knee to the head. The Samoan bulldozer catches a kick to the leg from Tojo Yamamoto. Tojo driving knees into the leg of Umaga. Now going to work on the lower limbs of the Samoan bulldozer. A throat chop, a left, a right. Umaga has him up, Samoan drop to Tojo. The Samoan bulldozer back to an upright position here. Tojo takes the throat chop but has him up and drives another knee into the head of the Samoan Bulldozer. Tojo with running forearms and a spear takes Umaga right back down again. Here's another cover. 1, 2, but just a 2. So says referee Walt Rothburn. Umaga very slow in responding at this point. Tojo up on the middle rope as Umaga makes his way to a standing position. A kick to the face and rope. What a takedown off the top rope from Tojo. Umaga slams him face first to the canvas by the arm. Tojo Yamamoto caught in another Samoan drop, beautifully executed by Umaga. Here's a cover. 1, 2. There are going to be a great deal of near falls in this matchup, Tex.
Oh, I'm sure. That's how these guys roll.
Tojo Yamamoto. Evades the Samoan spike. Rebounds off the ropes. Another flying punch takes Umaga down. The Iron Sheik standing ringside for his tag team partner, cheering him on as he really starts to go to work on the Samoan Bulldozer. Now clawing the face of Umaga. The referee calling for the break. A series of short staccato kicks right to the head of the Samoan Bulldozer. Umaga gathered up again by Tojo. All the way up, another driving knee into the head. And Tojo Yamamoto quickly making his way to the top turnbuckle. Here we go. Driving knee right into the chest. And here's another cover. 1, 2.
Wow, man. These guys are absolutely relentless, Don.
They most certainly are. Tojo catches a right from Umaga and another. The Samoan Bulldozer with Tojo up over the shoulder, hangs him up over the top rope. Down he goes. Tojo Yamamoto gathered up by the Samoan Bulldozer, up over the shoulders again. Taken down into a bow and arrow stretch. The Samoan Bulldozer with a series of stomps and kicks. He sets up and there's the headbutt again. And Tojo Yamamoto is really the blood is really starting to pour here. Umaga with a series of shots and a kick, taking Tojo back down to the mat again. Tojo trying to turn him over for a possible submission here. Here's a Boston Crab. The referee monitoring Tojo Yamamoto. The Iron Sheik beginning to look a little bit concerned for his tag team partner. Tojo gathered to a standing position again by Umaga. Up over the shoulder, but a quick counter into a DDT, dropping Umaga right on the top of his crown. The Samoan Bulldozer catching another spear from Tojo, and here's another cover. 1, 2. But only a 2 again. Tojo expressing some degree of frustration here. Delivers a kick to the back of Umaga. Umaga gathered up again. Up over the shoulders one more time as Umaga effortlessly walks into the corner, head first into the turnbuckle, and down goes Tojo. Umaga assists him out of the corner with a sit out. Tojo rounded up again by Umaga, and again another beautifully executed Samoan drop. Umaga has him by the throat. And there's the Samoan spike. Well, that could wrap it up right here. Here's a cover. 1, 2.
Shut up. Man. Tojo Yamamoto getting that shoulder up just in time and beating the Samoan spike. That's pretty incredible.
It most certainly is. Umaga misses with a driving knee. Tojo quickly countered again by Umaga. Umaga locks him up. Slams him face first into the canvas with a reverse Russian leg sweep. Another headbutt. And Tojo Yamamoto is starting to take quite a great deal of punishment here. Umaga drives another diving knee right into the chest. Tojo Yamamoto in big trouble center ring as Umaga makes his way to the top turnbuckle. And here it goes. Big time crossbody splash with a cover and a hook of the leg. 1, 2. And another near fall. Only a 2 count as Tojo Yamamoto refusing to give up here. He is absolutely relentless. A throat chop from Umaga. Has him up, slams him right back down again. And Tojo Yamamoto quickly counters a forearm to Umaga. Tojo locks him up. Axe kick takes him down. Rebound off the ropes and a quick moonsault from Tojo Yamamoto, moving with pretty impressive speed here. Drives a knee into the head of the Samoan Bulldozer. Another cover. 1, 2, and yet another near fall. This matchup with only seconds to go. Unbelievable. What a battle we've seen so far. Tojo misses with the punch. Umaga's got him by the throat. There's another Samoan spike, and here's another cover. The referee in place. 1, 2, 3, and that is going to do it. Umaga defeating Tojo Yamamoto by pinfall. Let's go get the official time.
The time, 9 minutes and 38 seconds. Your winner by pinfall, Umaga.
Well, Tex, the relentless stubbornness of Tojo Yamamoto definitely on display in this matchup, and yet not enough against the Samoan Bulldozer Umaga. He may have survived one Samoan spike, but the second put him away.
Yeah, sure did, Dandy Don. Woo. But Tojo, gotta give him credit for stubbornness. All right, folks, we're going to be back with more RWL Championship Wrestling right after this.
All right, fans, we have one ladies division matchup on tap this evening, but it is a killer as Maurice Ouellette gets set to lock it up one-on-one against the wildly unpredictable Luna Vachon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next ladies division match set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first from Vancouver, Canada, Maurice Ouellette.
Canadian superstar Maurice Ouellette back with us tonight here on RWL Championship Wrestling in this one-on-one match with Luna Vachon and Tex. Luna Vachon is 0-2 since her return. She lost her bid for the Joyce Grable Memorial title at the hands of Liberty Belle Danielle Heathcote and lost to Patty Powers, most recently on the RWL Snarl Rage Special.
Yes, Don, she is 0-2, which means she is going to be in a foul mood when she comes on out here.
And her opponent, from the other side of darkness, here is Luna Vachon.
The only woman in the vicious Vachon family, Luna Vachon, as we pointed out earlier, 0-2 against Patty Powers and Liberty Belle Danielle Heathcote. And I imagine she's definitely hungry for a win, and Maurice Ouellette may be the next meal.
Related by blood to Mad Dog Vachon and Butcher Paul Vachon, of course, Luna comes from some pretty nasty wrestling stock, but so far she hasn't really done very much. Let's see what she does here tonight against Maurice Ouellette, and she does look a little bit on the prime side. Oh man, she is definitely fired up. After 2 straight losses in a row to Liberty Belle Danielle and Patty Powers, Luna definitely looking for a win here against Maurice.
And here we go as Tom Kanamura sounds the bell. The ladies come center ring. They lock it up, collar and elbow. Maurice Ouellette whipped to the far right corner. Luna Vachon with a clothesline takes her down to the mat. A rebound off the middle ropes. A beautiful moonsault from Luna. Here is a quick cover. 1. But just a 1, says the referee. Maurice Ouellette back to a standing position. A running kick from Luna takes her right back down to the canvas again. Luna locks up Maurice. Maurice countering quickly with elbows to Luna's midsection. Luna Vachon catches a right. Maurice Ouellette goes behind on her. Slams her down. One-arm slam. They lock up again. Luna whipped to the rope, over the top rope and out onto the floor. Maurice Ouellette going right out after her, following it up with a stomp to the midsection. A hard kick from Luna Vachon, and Maurice Ouellette doing a bit of showboating for the fans in the front row, and now putting her boot right on the throat of Luna Vachon as referee Tom Kanamura counts. Luna being escorted back towards the ring, rolled back inside by Maurice. Maurice makes her way back inside. A kick to the head from Luna Vachon. A rebound off the middle rope. A flying punch takes Maurice down to the mat again. Luna Vachon locks up Maurice. Quickly countered and taken down to the mat by Maurice. Again putting her boot right upon the throat of Luna Vachon. Maurice in control of things at the present time. Luna whipped into the far left corner. There's a kick to the ribs from Maurice. Luna slammed into the turnbuckle. A hard shot to the back from Maurice. Maurice turns her around yet again. Luna countering quickly with an elbow makes her way to... Oh man, what a kick right to the head of Maurice. Luna follows it up with a kick to the back. Luna Vachon turning things around pretty quickly here. And Maurice Ouellette now in serious trouble as Luna Vachon really begins to put on the pressure.
Yeah, oh, here we go. Luna's going to go to work on the arms of Maurice. And there's a couple of double knees right to the back as Luna Vachon tries to turn things around here.
Luna, absolutely relentless. Get a look at this. She is going for it again. Maurice face first down into the canvas as Luna Vachon continues to twist and torture both arms on Maurice. Again, another pair of knees into the lower back. Luna Vachon quickly going for the cover, but no, not even a one. Maurice goes behind on Luna. Escorts her to the ropes. There's a kick to the side. Maurice literally choking Luna Vachon with the top rope. And Maurice Ouellette has her draped over the middle rope, follows it up with a stomp to the back. And Maurice Ouellette looking like she is clearly in control of things. And Luna Vachon looking like she is clearly in trouble. Luna caught by the throat by Maurice and slammed to the floor by Maurice Ouellette. Again, referee Tom Canamora counting as Maurice Ouellette stamps the face of Luna Vachon. Followed up with a stomp to the shoulder. Maurice countered with a jawbreaker as Luna gets a hold of her and, whoa, drove her straight into the ring steps. Luna rounds up Maurice again. A series of hard rights and a drop kick to the knee. As Maurice quickly stands up, another driving knee right into the head from Luna Vachon. Luna rounds up Maurice. And Wolf tried to drive her into the ring steps again. Not sure if Maurice sidestepped it, but she is certainly favoring her left knee as Luna Vachon lets out a shout. Inside the ring, referee Tom Canamora keeping an eye on Maurice as she slowly makes her way back to a standing position. Luna Vachon pacing the cage like a wild animal. Whoa, look at this. Oh, man, over the top rope. What athleticism. Catching Maurice Ouellette with just the heel of her boots. Luna drives Maurice towards the barricades, follows that up with a stomp. Referee Tom Canamora urging Luna to get her back inside the ring, but all in vain. It's not going to work. Luna's not listening as she continues to go to work on the arms of Maurice Ouellette with the referee counting.
That's Luna. She do not care. Oh, man. Maurice Ouellette's going to have some pretty sore arms and a pretty sore back after this one's all said and done, Dandy Don.
Certainly appears to be that way. Luna Vachon gets a hold of Maurice, rolls her back inside the ring. And Luna, she looks pretty mad. Makes her way back inside, gets a hold of Maurice. Oh, hard forearm takes Maurice down to the canvas. Followed up with another stomp to the midsection. And another stomp to the shoulder. Luna Vachon turning it around and absolutely relentless at this point in the matchup. Maurice counters with a couple of elbows, backs Luna off, gets a hold of her. Luna Vachon whipped towards the ropes. Here's a duck under from Maurice, a leapfrog. Here comes Luna, and Loot does press style thing, but here we go, smashing the head of Luna Vachon into the canvas. They lock up again. Up over the shoulder goes Luna, hung up on the top rope, and down she goes. Maurice quickly and wisely going for a cover. No, not even a one. Look at this. Luna Vachon powering out quickly. Maurice Ouellette gouging the face of Luna Vachon. She counters with a right, rebounds off the ropes, and another flying punch takes Maurice down to the canvas. And Luna Vachon certainly is motivated at this point. Hard kick to the back of Maurice. Oh, she certainly felt that one. Maurice rounded up by Luna. One arm slammed right into the canvas face first. Luna Vachon goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. And this one is all over Luna Vachon, finally picking herself up a win over Maurice Ouellette.
The time, 6 minutes and 36 seconds. Your winner, Luna Vachon.
Luna Vachon with the victory here. We will return with our tag team main event right after the break. Fans, before tonight's main event gets started, as we mentioned before, this is the season premiere of RWL Championship Wrestling. It is also the final show for the month of September. We are celebrating 7 years of the RWL YouTube channel this month, and we wanted to thank each and every one of you out there for helping make that possible. This channel now stands at 698 subscribers with over 5,800 videos available, and we do it all for you. We never ask for a dime, and we thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for supporting RWL.
That's right. Also very important, we're going to be taking a little break after this, and we will return on October the 4th, Saturday, with the usual RWL Snarl. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for helping make RWL a success. We're going to continue bringing you Snarl and Rage and a whole lot more.
And don't forget about those awesome supercards. And with that out of the way, our main event this evening, the RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Championships on the line. John Van and Guy Cormier defending the titles against Zeus and the Great Khali.
Well, Dandy Don, I'll tell you what, Eazy-E is in all his glories this evening. Zeus and the Great Khali with the absolute chance of a lifetime to pick up the RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Championships if, and that's a big if, they can get past John Van and Guy Cormier, the originals, which is not an easy task at all.
Yes, to date, the originals have only dropped non-title matches, and even those are exceedingly rare. But Zeus and the Great Khali, given their power, size, and strength, could pull off an upset this evening, although the odds are extremely long.
Tell you what, Dandy Don, the fans here in Pittsburgh do not sound very optimistic, do they? Here we go. It is party time. John Van and Guy Cormier along with Sylvia Strong in the house, and oh man, this is gonna be a crazy one.
Since forming their partnership in 2012, the originals have been nothing short of absolutely amazing. Multiple-time tag team champions, and now the undisputed world tag team champions, and they have been at the top of the mountain for an extremely long time. Not unlike the women's world champion Dynamite Jeannie Parker, these two have proven very, very hard to beat.
That's right. Well, so many other tag teams have come and gone for 13 years. The originals have ruled the roost around here in RWL's tag team division, and they have dropped very few matches, and ain't none of them been for the tag team titles. And I don't know, Zeus and the Great Khali really got their work cut out for them. And yeah, an upset is always possible. Eric Bischoff at ringside, there could be some interference. Who knows what could happen? But John and Guy, extremely consistent, and Sylvia Strong, extremely proud of her #1 money spinners, as she likes to call them. John Van and Guy Cormier. It's a party every time the originals come to town. Sylvia Strong absolutely loves these guys.
And a lot of fans questioning how Eric Bischoff even managed to negotiate to get Zeus and Khali signed for this title match. He must have read Art of the Deal recently, because, well, let's face it, the record of Zeus and the Great Khali is, well, just about so-so.
Very, very mensa, Dandy Don, but nonetheless, Eric Bischoff, master negotiator that he is, well, here we are tonight with Zeus and Khali with a big-time chance.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's main event, scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit, is for the RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Championships. Introducing first the challengers, managed by Eric Bischoff at a combined weight of 635 pounds, the human wrecking machine Zeus, and the Great Khali. Their opponents, managed by Sylvia Strong, at a combined weight of 520 pounds, from Chicago, Illinois, the Chicago Hammer John Van, and from Staten Island, New York, the Staten Island Crippler, Guy Cormier, the RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Champions, the Originals.
Now, Don, you would think after all these years the Originals would hand those belts over to the referee with absolutely no reservations, but that just isn't the case. Every time John and Guy turn those belts over to the ref before a title match, there's always a touch of nervousness.
Of course there would be. All it takes is one loss to destroy their record. It's going to be the human wrecking machine and the Chicago Hammer starting us off here as the referee sounds the bell. The men come center ring, they lock it up, kick to the midsection from John Van, rebound off the middle ropes, flying punch takes Zeus down to the canvas. John Van moves right in on Zeus. Zeus counters with a shot to the midsection. John Van with another kick to Zeus. Zeus opens up with a right kick. He's got John Van by the throat, slams him down with a little bit of a choke there. John Van counters, shoves Zeus down to the mat again, charges another running kick right to the face of Zeus as Guy Cormier is brought in on the tag. Zeus with the right gets a hold of Cormier, whips him towards his team's corner. Cormier back on his feet, but not for long. The human wrecking machine countered by Guy Cormier. Cormier locks him up and delivers a withering series of shots that takes Zeus down to the canvas right in front of his manager Eric Bischoff as he beats it out of town and turns it over to John Van. John Van misses with the running drop kick, gets a hold of Zeus nonetheless, drives a knee right into the skull very nonchalantly, and Van quickly going for the cover, preventing the tag. 1, 2. But nope, just a near fall. John Van with a stomp to the shoulder of the human wrecking machine, and Guy Cormier getting into it on the outside with the Punjabi Nightmare as John Van takes his time torturing the human wrecking machine right in front of his manager Eric Bischoff. Drives a pair of knees into Zeus's back. The Great Khali taking a little walk on Guy Cormier. There's a headbutt from Zeus. John Van counters with a right, another right to the midsection. Zeus whipped to the ropes. John ducks under. A hard shot to the gut for the human wrecking machine. And now the Great Khali back at his corner. But Guy Cormier is still laid out. There's an axe kick to the back of the head of Zeus. John Van drives the knee right into the canvas. Rounds up Zeus. Drives another knee right into his head. And Zeus looking for a way out of town, and he's not going to find one. John Van charges quickly, countered by the human wrecking machine. Zeus opens up with a right, a left, another right, gets a hold of John Van, has him by the throat again and slams him down one more time. And again, the Great Khali, the Punjabi Nightmare, away from his tag corner, which means Zeus is going to take all this punishment from John Van by himself. A counter kick from Zeus, back up on his feet, a stomp to the chest, a kick to the back of the Chicago Hammer, John Van. There's another headbutt from Zeus. But nobody home at his tag corner. The Great Khali still engaged with Guy Cormier here. Zeus dives off the top, headbutt to John Van. Here's a cover and a hook of the leg. 1, 2. But no, another near fall. Zeus locks up John Van, blatantly strangling, and then follows up with a headbutt. Zeus, very aggressive. A hard shot to the midsection. John Van has him up. Quick counter from Zeus. Shoves Van to the corner. Gets a hold of him by the throat again. John Van has had enough of that move. Delivers an elbow to the head of Zeus. Has him up. Drives another knee into the head of the human wrecking machine. John Van opens up with a series of shots and kicks. A double shot to the midsection and a flying punch that takes Zeus down to the canvas again. And so far, it has been all Zeus, the Great Khali, with a cheap shot to the back of the head of John Van. John Van didn't appreciate that, and here we go. He's going to pay for that one. Feet to the Bodran, 10 punches right to the chest, and he's going to collapse to the outside when it's all said and done as Zeus makes his way back to a standing position, tags John Van with a shot to the back, tries to round him up for the bear hug, but no good. Quick counter from John Van. The Originals absolutely in control. And here we go. John Van covers 1, 2. But again, just a near fall. Zeus getting that left shoulder up. Meanwhile, the Great Khali again not at his tag corner. Zeus being escorted towards the Originals corner. Head first into the turnbuckle. Here comes Guy Cormier on the tag. Here comes a double team from the Originals. Hard whip to the ropes. All the way up, all the way down, back body drop. As Guy Cormier takes control for his team, and finally the Great Khali gets a tag, gets in here, misses with the clothesline. John Van watching as Guy Cormier gets shoved towards the corner. The Great Khali with a series of shots and a short clothesline, taking him down to the canvas. Guy Cormier rolls to the outside quickly, rolls himself back inside. The Great Khali catches a kick to the back of the head for showboating, as Guy Cormier drives both knees into the canvas. The Great Khali shoves him away, gets back up to a standing position, gets a hold of Cormier, has him up, slams him face first into the mat. The Great Khali catches a shot to the midsection from Guy Cormier. Cormier with a series of short kicks to the head of the Great Khali. Khali has him up over the shoulders. Guy Cormier quickly evades. The rebound off the ropes, a flying kick right to the head of the Great Khali, and John Van watching as Guy Cormier covers, but not even a 1. A stomp to the head from Cormier. A kick to the back from Cormier. The Great Khali not faring too well here. Guy Cormier all the way up on the top right turnbuckle as the Great Khali stands up. And here we go. Oh, flying punch. A hard target to miss when you're 7 feet and change. A stomp to the head from Guy Cormier. Cormier with some wrist clutch kicks to the side of the head of the Great Khali, and here comes John Van again. The Great Khali crawls towards the corner, finally back up to his vertical base, but John Van right there turns him around, smashes his head into the turnbuckle. The Chicago Hammer takes himself to the middle rope, a flying kick that drops the Punjabi Nightmare to the mat center ring. Van rounds him up again, charges a flying punch, takes him down. Here's another cover 1. But Zeus right there to break up the pin. John Van misses with the stomp. Khali misses with the clothesline. John Van again rebounds off the ropes. Another kick right to the head of the Great Khali. And John Van prevents the tag, following up with a stomp to the shoulder, a stomp to the midsection. And the Punjabi Nightmare just catching all kinds of hell here. A forearm right to the side of the head of the Great Khali. John Van rounds up Khali, escorts him towards the Originals corner, head first into the turnbuckle. Here comes Guy Cormier on the tag. Here comes another double team from the Originals. Khali whipped to the ropes, double shoulder tackle. Takes the Punjabi Nightmare down, quickly back up, misses with the clothesline, connects with an elbow, finally nails the clothesline and takes Cormier down. Cormier quickly back up, a knee, a right. Khali counters with a kick to the leg. Guy Cormier with a kick to the Great Khali. Khali has him up for the sidewalk slam, but he catches a knee to the head from Guy Cormier. And another running kick that takes Khali down. Here comes John Van again, the Great Khali in all kinds of pain. John Van with a kick to the leg of the Punjabi Nightmare. Strategic, keeping his opponent off his vertical base. And he is going to keep him on the mat for as long as he can and wear him out while he does it. John Van winds up the arms on the Great Khali. And here's another pair of knees right to the back of the Punjabi Nightmare. The Chicago Hammer rounds him up again. Escorts him towards the corner, head first into the turnbuckle. There's an elbow from the Great Khali and a cheap shot from Guy Cormier. John Van goes right behind him, smashes his head into the turnbuckle. Here comes Guy Cormier again. The Originals absolutely firing on all cylinders. still very hot after their last match against the Steiner brothers. And here we go. Oh, man, what a drop. Here we go. Here's another cover. But Zeus right there to break it up even before the count of 1. The Great Khali writhing in pain. Guy Cormier steps out, steps back in quickly. Sylvia Strong watching all of this intently. Cormier tries for the move, but no. Khali takes him off the turnbuckle and drops him center ring. The Punjabi Nightmare twisting the head of Guy Cormier, but Cormier back up on his feet, delivers the shot to the midsection of the Great Khali, and then another. Khali again into the Originals corner. Here comes John Van one more time. These guys absolutely amazing. Khali whipped to the ropes again. Another pair of double shoulders for the Punjabi Nightmare as John Van makes his way to the top right turnbuckle. Waiting for the Great Khali to stand himself up, and here we go. Another flying punch that takes him right back down again. What a tag team title matchup this has been so far. Again, the undisputed World Tag Team Championships on the line in tonight's main event. And John Van and Guy Cormier determined to retain those titles, and Zeus and the Great Khali have not been performing very well. But so far, Eric Bischoff has not interceded on their behalf,
which is absolutely amazing to me.
John Van squirts Khali to the corner one more time, head first into the buckle. Here comes Guy Cormier again. They are just playing musical corners with Zeus and the Great Khali. Short clothesline from Guy Cormier. The Great Khali rolls out to the feet of Sylvia Strong on the outside as the referee begins the count. Sylvia Strong flexing, enjoying the show here. Cormier rounds up the Great Khali, drives him into the barricade, gathers him back up. A hard forearm takes him down to the floor, followed up with a stomp by Guy Cormier. The Great Khali counters, gets back up on his feet, locks up Cormier. There's a headbutt from the Punjabi Nightmare. The Great Khali rolls Guy Cormier back inside the ring, makes his own way in, but Cormier right there. Uh-oh, karate chop right to the top of the head. This could be bad. Here's a cover. No, John Van breaking up the pin and saving the match for his team. Now the Great Khali beginning to display some degree of confidence, but Guy Cormier catching shots to the midsection from the Great Khali. Khali connects with the clothesline, takes him down. They lock up. Khali with the, a claw chokeslam to Guy Cormier. Cormier quickly back up, but the Great Khali pummeling him mercilessly. Cormier gets a hold of him by the throat. The Great Khali counters with an elbow. And again, going for that claw slam. That's 2 of them Guy Cormier's taken. And here comes the human wrecking machine, Zeus. Guy Cormier in the far right corner as Zeus moves in, sets him up on the top turnbuckle. A hard right hand just drops him like a bad habit. As the human wrecking machine steps out on the apron and back inside again for reasons all known only to him. All the way up for the suplex, but no, the Great Khali watching as Zeus drives an elbow into the knee of Guy Cormier. Connects with a low dropkick, but doesn't get anywhere. Zeus has him up, slams him down one arm. Here's a big-time cover. Whoa, man, John Van right there to save the day. The Chicago Hammer saving his partner yet again as Zeus tries to pull away here, tries to get some momentum going for his team. Wrist clutch clothesline, a step over, and there's another one, and there's another step over, and a third clothesline to Guy Cormier, who is now really beginning to take some degree of punishment. The human wrecking machine tags out, the Great Khali tags in, Guy Cormier still in there, center ring, moves in on the Great Khali, double choke lift, and slam hard to the canvas. Khali covers again, John Van right there to break it up. Khali delivers a headbutt to John Van and takes a walk on the midsection of Guy Cormier as John Van rolls to the outside. And the tide may be turning here as Zeus is tagged in again. Guy Cormier. Woohoo! Zeus misses with the kick. Cormier back up on his feet, delivers the kick to the midsection of Zeus, rebounds off the ropes, flying punch, takes Zeus down to the canvas again. The tide was turning, however briefly, for Zeus and Khali, but Guy Cormier tagging Zeus with a series of right hands, and now Zeus rolls to the outside right before Sylvia Strong. Sylvia Strong giving him a little bit of space. Guy Cormier locks him up, takes him down to the canvas, and a series of mounted punches on the outside as the referee continues to count. What a main event, what a tag team title match we've had here. And now we're about 3/4 of the way done, with about 5 minutes and a half left. The Great Khali counters the charge of Guy Cormier. Zeus on the outside, showboating for the front row. He makes his way back inside the ring. They collide. Cormier gets a hold of Zeus, has him by the back of the neck, pitches him up against the ropes, and gets pitched over the top rope and out onto the floor as the Great Khali is tagged in. Cormier rolls back inside. Spinning punch. Oh man, what a shot. The Great Khali went down like a chopped down sequoia. Here comes John Van again. And time is running out here. An elbow right to the chest of the Great Khali. John Van gathers him up. More sadistic wrist clutch kicks to the Great Khali. And once again, John Van, torturing the arms of the Punjabi Nightmare, follows that up with a pair of double knees to the back. Eric Bischoff has to be concerned at this point. Uh-oh, here we go again. Zeus catching the beast of the Bodran, 10-count punches from John Van. And he is going to be incapacitated for a couple. And down he goes. The Great Khali goes behind. John Van counters with an elbow. Khali tries for the bear hug, but John Van counters him. Uh-oh, here we go. The brain claw. This could be it right here. That is it. The referee is calling for the bell. The Great Khali is out, and that is it. The Originals retain the undisputed World Tag Team Championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 16 minutes and 8 seconds. Your winners by pinfall and still RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Champions, John Van and Guy Cormier, the Originals.
Well, Dandy Don, you're going to have to give Zeus and the Great Khali full marks for effort. They put up a hell of a fight, dragging this one out to just about 4 minutes remaining. But nonetheless, John Van and Guy Cormier standing tall and still RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Champions.
Absolutely true, Tex. Zeus and the Great Khali certainly did put in a great effort. And Eric Bischoff, well, Eric Bischoff is Eric Bischoff, so you had to expect what was going to happen there. Nonetheless, the Originals picking up yet another win and still the Undisputed World Tag Team Champions.
All right, gang, that is going to do it for this edition of Championship Wrestling, and it's going to do it for the month of September. What a month we have had, celebrating 7 years of RWL YouTube channel. Thank you very much for being with us and supporting RWL like you do. We will be back Saturday night, October the 4th, 2025, with the latest edition of RWL Snarl with me, Wally Cardell, and Johnny Bianco. For Dandy, Don Hickson, and myself, Hangman Takes Lunch, thank you very much. We will see you next time. Good night, everybody.